And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Intercontinental Hotel. My guest tonight was supposed to be Budalangi Member of Parliament, ODM Secretary General, former chairman of the powerful PAC, Ababu Namwamba. He called it, or rather he texted, WhatsApped in last minute saying he could make it. So I called my friend, Tonny Gachoka, who's equally full of fire. In fact, Willie, tweets are coming in thick and fast, he says, and they are. And you know, look, at the end of the day, we must address corruption in this country, because if we don't, if someone doesn't, it's going to go on and on and on, and then one day our children will wake up and they'll say, what did you do? So we're going to talk. And as I always keep saying, we've got to keep talking, because the moment we stop talking is the moment we start fighting. Tony.
I want to say something, Jeff, about what you did in Korogosho for the children.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to be in public. But when I saw Rari Modoyo and you have a gentleman's bet about reaching 500,000, and congratulations.
Thank you.
For 500,000 followers. But I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. The fact that you chose to give 20,000 and he gave 20,000 is a measure of your earnings. Because you can't give 10 million if you don't have it.
Correct.
Unless you've stolen it.
Yes.
So it is better to give 20,000 if that's what you have, and that is the sweat of your labor, than to go into all these fundraisers carrying money. In fact, I have a very big problem for my friend the president. Because every time I see him with Sonko and people like this, it's the opposite of Uhuru. Because a guy like Sonko comes in with guns to a mortuary, I don't know, a convoy of 30 cars. You say a governor cannot carry a flag, a governor cannot use the name His Excellency, but somehow there's a super senator who can go and do what he wants. So as we criticize Ababu Namwamba, because I understand there is a constituency that respects the Orange Democratic Movement, they must understand my criticisms about Ababu are as similar as the feelings I have about what Sonko is doing. And I want to be very clear, because the history of Kasa is a history of Langata Cemetery. There was a man called John Harun Mwao.
Yes.
Appointed by retired President Moi.
They used to call him.
He went to the hot seat.
They called him the boss.
He's called the boss. He could not take the heat at Integrity Center. Then there came a retired justice, Aaron Ringera.
Correct.
And he came with all the force of law and years of white hair and experience. He could not take the heat. And God forbid that I mention that my very good friend and wonderful brother who just celebrated a wonderful wedding of his child, PLO Lumumba.
Oh yeah.
Went there, but he was hounded out by the same MPs. Now Matemo is firing people. There is a petition before the president asking for the disbandment of EACC. Now what worries me is that half the commissioners have told the president in writing that they have material evidence to suggest they have no confidence in the chair. Now, this matter cannot be cured by negotiation. Either the commissioners lied by the letters that I've brought you here, marked confidential and dated, sent as a petition to the President of Kenya by the commissioners. So either the commissioners lied and therefore want to withdraw what they wrote, or whether or not Matemo should be discussed and investigated. Now, if the commissioners lied, action needs to be taken on them, because you cannot bring down the name of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on allegations you cannot substantiate.
But Tony, why is this happening now at the time that Anglo Leasing is being revived?
Has it been revived?
Well, the 13 suspects were arraigned in court.
The small ones were brought to court, but as I remember...
Kamani is not small.
I would say this, the Anglo Leasing is made up of ghosts, because when I heard that the people are being taken to court, I heard the former minister Muraria became sick.
Right.
And was admitted to hospital. And I wish him quick recovery so he can go and defend his good name in a court of law. And there are many ministers in the Anglo Leasing scandal. Jeff, if Kenyans remember, the Anglo Leasing scandal was 18 contracts or thereabout. It started with the immigration, that there will be passports. And people know who the minister was then, who has not, I don't think, been charged. Then it went to the Posta Corporation, and you know who the minister was and so forth, have not been charged. And then all of a sudden, newspapers in Kenya began to allege that there were ghosts. And I began to read about the Anglo Leasing ghosts. And because I'm a well-brought-up Christian, I never believed in ghosts. But now it is true, they exist.
They're there.
Because this man rings from wherever he is in the world. You called him Kamani.
Yes.
He says, I'm too busy to come on Tuesday to the High Court. But tell the court that I'll come on Thursday. And in the meantime, let me hire Kenya's most elaborate lawyer, the Grand Mullah. I'll go and get a High Court order to stop my arrest until I come dressed in my Brioni suit, in order that I have no distress on my ailing father, so that we can be able to be before the court. Now let me ask you, the Chief Justice of Kenya said there are 15,000 files that need quick judicial action, but there are no judges and there is no time. So he expedited a well-publicized policy of the judiciary to get rid of the old files. Today you can't get a certificate in the High Court because the judges are too busy. But Kamani got 1 day of orders that nobody can touch him until he walks in to our court.
Are you
now, whether he's guilty or innocent,
yeah,
and whether he has a ghost or he doesn't, he walked majestically into the courts knowing that he's above the law.
Are you saying, Tony, that there are sacred cows in this country? Untouchables?
Yes, I am. And I am saying this because, and I want to be very clear about this, where Ababu sits as chairman of the PAC, His Excellency the President was the chairman of the PAC that recorded, and is the record of the 100 in Parliament, about Anglo Leasing and the people that were implicated and involved. And he said that he recommends their prosecution. When the President ordered the payment of the so-called 3.4 billion of money, he said he's paying painfully, aware that these people need to face prosecution. But every Kenyan can only see faces of officers who are there and one person or the other. But the whole array of the political class that gained from Goldenberg, Anglo Leasing, none of them have ever gone to jail. If you look at the history of Kenya's scandals, from Tagwell Gorge, Goldenberg, Anglo Leasing, all of them. Triton, all of them.
Chicken Gate.
All of them. Yet Kenneth Matiba is dying at the ICCU for fighting for freedom for this country. And nobody, so you wonder.
Yeah. What does that say about us, Tony? What does that say? Because like you said, no one has ever been prosecuted throughout the years. And we keep saying, openly, we keep saying, the day that one person is thrown into the slammer and the key thrown away, that's when we'll know that they're tackling corruption, they're serious on corruption.
What I would like to say is what they say in The Art of War. To the President, who is my friend, I would urge him to look at the history of his father and to look at the history of the retired President Moi and the retired President Mwai Kibaki. I'd like to talk to the President on JKL because I'd like him to be part of the nation's discussion tomorrow. Jomo Kenyatta had problems with his greatest allies. Paul Ngei and him fell out. He fell out with Kagia. He fell out with Jomo Kenyatta, J.M. Kariuki. He fell out with Degama Pinto. He fell out with Tom Mboya. But J.M. Kariuki and Degama Pinto opened the way for a new political alliance with President retired Moi. And Kadu and Kanu came together for the little general election of '67. When President Moi took over, he fell out with Biwott. He fell out with Robert Ouko. He fell out with many people. And at the end, he even fell out with Matiba, and he also fell out with Kibaki. And people would argue, at the end of his term, he brought in the Dream Team. When he brought in Liki and other people try and help me, at the end he started saying the guy who will be president will be Uhuru. And one would argue today whether Moi was right or wrong. But Moi changed his mind in his administration. When Mwai Kibaki was president, he got rid of John Githongo, Alfred Gitonga, Matere Kireri, Murungaro, Mwiraria. He made a change in his government. The time has come for President Uhuru Kenyatta, after the ICC matter is far behind him, to be able to take decisive executive action, to be able to take it on both sides of the divide. Remove the Sonkos to go and do shows. There are many television shows. Now with digital migration, let him go and do his car shows and all the things he likes to do. That's okay. But that's not presidential. You don't go and see the Prime Minister of China with torn jeans and with your hair cut up in pieces. You don't also...
Tony,
no, I'm
so
just
you
being
seem
clear.
to have a problem with the senator.
No, I don't want ODM followers to think that this program is about attacking Ababu.
No.
It's about attacking a political culture of impunity in this country, where you must say it on the Jubilee side, you must say it on the ODM side, because we want Kenyans to be together. A president is elected for 5 years under a social contract to serve the people. And the people are one, whether they vote for you or against you. So right now, he must take very serious action, or his government must take serious action on the people causing corruption. But there cannot be seen to be a political connotation to that. And that is why I don't agree when Moses Kuria goes on public and abuses people. Because you call him on a television show. Nobody gives him the right to abuse people, but nobody also gives Ababu Namwamba the right to tape record the Prime Minister and then bring the Prime Minister's good name into a situation where MPs of ODM, in fact, the one who wrote to the Speaker, I don't even know. I'm not allowed to give you his name because he may not ever enter ODM territory. The one who alerted the Speaker about Ababu's misgivings is an ODM MP.
One of their own.
One of their own. He's the one who wrote to the Speaker. And the Speaker then said, what's going on? Then Ababu then said, no, it's them. So what I'm saying, this is an internal war. Ababu does not have the support of his party. The Prime Minister has given a call today, the retired Prime Minister, that this matter be investigated by the full force of the law.
But Tony, at the end of the day, Kenya being Kenya, is anything going to come out of this? Or are we going to do what we always do? 2-3 days from now, something else will come up and we'll forget about it.
Can somebody send a tape of this to the President? This JKL is very important. You know, it's an important program. I've just given easy advice. Mr. President, don't carry baggage. Do your work.
Let it go.
Let it go and do your work, because the problem you're having is wondering whether you owe people any favors. Ababu has just shown that he doesn't owe Raila any favor. Mr. President, you are elected by Kenyans, none of whom are asking you for jobs or favors. If people are not doing their work, get rid of them.
What about those people who have always, all along have been saying that Ababu is a mole, has been a mole all along? What do you think, Tony?
I think several things. I think that Parliament has done, and in my own view, because of poor leadership, taken over the position of the imperial president. Before we had a devolved system of government, all you had to do was bribe ministers and bribe their PSs and look for your way to State House and you get your piece of the cake. Now, when that was dismantled and the ministers are professional and the president is reacting to a cabinet that is not exposed to politics, then Parliament began to increase its role and its importance.
And its powers.
And its powers. And demanding all matters of things, even many of which are unconstitutional.
So is it a rogue Parliament? Is that what you're saying?
This is a rogue Parliament. And it is a Parliament, in my view, which is one of the worst. You compare the 7th Parliament. When you had Jehoka Tabaki, you had Mukisa Kitui, you had Georgia Nyona, you had people who even you went home to listen to them on the 6 o'clock news. Today, can you name me 3 MPs who you can give me a quote? 1 MP. Let me ask you this. It is not a problem of the ODM. Even in Central Kenya, I don't know our members of Parliament. I don't know what they say. I don't know what they do in that house. And that is why I'm saying we've got to be very careful as a nation. We have bestowed too much power to MCAs. Yesterday I watched a war in Nakuru. One would have thought it was a boxing match.
I'm telling you.
People are there to increase their salaries.
Councillors will always be councillors. Tony. John Kiaria.
Yes.
KJ.
Yes.
ODM.
I know John well.
Yeah, and a good friend of Ababu's, by the way.
I know John.
He's tweeting and he says, could curtailing Ababu's bigger political ambitions be one of the games at play? And he gives an example. He says, it was done to the young Paul Mwite in the 90s when he emerged strongly as a possible successor of opposition Honcho Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, never to recover his path onto ascension to higher office. Could this be the same thing?
John Kerry, good friend, can I answer you with a question? And then, John, was I not with you at the house of the late Fidel Odinga when I came to give my condolences? Were you not present when I was stoned because I was asked, what am I doing in a house of Raila? And Fidel was my friend. So what does Fidel's death have to do with politics? John Kerry, were you there? That's your answer. This is a country where you can't even mourn a friend. This is a country where you can't be yourself. I've known the Odingas for 15 years.
Yeah, you were head of protocol.
Head of Raila Odinga.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned the name at the top of the show.
Yes.
Miguna.
Yes.
Watching you live from Canada.
Yes.
He says, my brother,
Yes.
I understand Tony is asking where I am. Tell him I'm trying to put food on the table for my children. Signed, Miguna, Kenyan patriot and freedom fighter.
Miguna, how are you in Canada? And thank God that Tonny Gachoka is listened beyond the borders of Kenya. But anyway, I just wanted to say this.
Yeah.
That if there was a reason why people don't whistleblow, as my brother Miguna did, as people have tried in the past, is because there is a balance between doing what is right and doing what is responsible. Personally, I think that there is no excuse whatsoever for anyone in high public office to tape record their boss. And I do not agree that that is a means or a way. In fact, in the US, that evidence is inadmissible in a court of law.
But Tony,
you cannot get evidence behind the back door by tricking people.
But I asked you earlier on, Tony, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen? Is it going to blow over?
You didn't agree with me to send the president this tape. But if you do, what should happen in the way forward? My own view, many presidents have hidden behind international community. I think when Robert Ouko died, President Moi brought the troon, what they called troon.
Commission.
And he tried to calm the country because they saw some nice white faces. And you know, after, and I didn't mean that in any derogatory tone, but it was able to show the country some integrity, quote unquote. And then later he brought in the dream team by Richard Leakey, who only lasted 1 year. And then when the President Kibaki and Raila Odinga had to make a deal for national unity, they brought in the Kregra Commission.
Are you going to answer my question?
Now, my answer is this. I think the president must look beyond Kenyans in creating a very serious body that can actually get into the bottom of corruption. And I, Jeff, want to tell you this. I don't believe in Kenya we have the pool of men or women who are above tribe, religion, or party interests who can be able to truly steer corruption out of the door. I would recommend...
Can we tackle this?
I would recommend a commission that would be apolitical, that would look beyond the borders of Kenya, so that the president for once could have the truth. This country for once could have the truth.
How many people out there can do that, Tony?
I think...
It's too tempting.
I think
there's too much money.
I do agree with you, but I do think that many countries have gone that way. And many countries have succeeded when they have gone beyond their own borders for some issues. Because
so you're saying we bring a Kofi Annan type person?
I think it is necessary now because the public confidence is broken. Nobody will trust what the PAC says tomorrow. Nobody will trust what the electoral anti-corruption body says tomorrow. Nobody will believe if people before the courts who are acquitted tomorrow have been acquitted. So if you want to say issue of corruption, which hurts every Kenyan because 56% of Kenyans live below the poverty line, you need to bring a sense of integrity, people and women beyond reproach. And I'm not saying they must be white. The Akiumi Commission was led by a Ghanaian judge of impeccable credentials. Even within this continent, there are people who are of our color and of our traditions and culture and who don't have a partisan interest, who can be called upon by this country in our hour of need.
Tony,
and I think the president should look far beyond the borders in order to make an important decision. And I think...
So you're saying no Kenyan can do this job?
I have seen none so far, and I'll tell you why. There are too many graveyards, and I cannot see the white smoke in the chapel. I'm waiting for it. There has never been a man who wears a tie as smart as you who has seen the prisons of committee, except me and Matiba.
Can we throw in Kamlesh for good measure?
Kamlesh came out and gave a hotel, and now he's building apartments in Westlands. Mr. Patney is now a Christian. He's a pastor.
Yeah, Brother Paul.
Yeah, he saves souls only in Kenya. Not on Jeff only in Kenya. He's a pastor. He took $1 billion in Goldenberg, and he's a pastor.
Damn it.
And he saves lives. Pastor Paul.
Wow.
That is only here.
Only here.
He has survived 3 presidents, Moi, Kibaki, and Uhuru, and Patney is still free.
Hello.
So if I was Kamani and I was reading the book, I would read the gospel according to Patney.
And he laughs at his own joke. Only Tonny Gachoka can do that. So let's take a break, come back, talk some more. The way forward. The way forward. We always take a step. I mean, Kenya the other day was voted, or I think Business Daily, or no, Forbes, or CNBC. No, it was Bloomberg.
Pick up
Bloomberg.
James Bond and finish this matter.
Third fastest
The way
growing
forward,
economy.
look, you're the president. Pick up James Bond and his ghosts. And the matter will be over in a day.
What is it with you and Bond?
No, it's just a movie I like watching, you know. You know.
Let's take a break. I'm going to read your tweets when I come back, I promise you. But my goodness, it's good to be back.
A 007. Beautiful girls and good cars. And a good lawyer, the Grand Mullah.
We're still on air.
There we are.
Okay. JK, I'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment.